Morning, JP.
Good morning, Brandon.
How's it going?
It's going pretty well. How about
Good,
yourself?
good. Hey, I thought I'd kick this off. You never know what I'm going to bring to you.
Correct.
What time was sunset last night?
Oh man, that's a good question. I think sunset was around like 6:30-ish.
All right, so let's assume that's true.
Okay.
You're wrong.
Oh, what time was it at?
6:22,
Oh, okay.
because it takes 8 minutes for the sunlight to hit Earth. So by the time you're seeing the sun, it already said 8 minutes ago.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Another question for you. What's our
Sure.
current unemployment number in the US?
The current unemployment number is 3.4%.
Inflation?
Inflation, well, there's two measures. CPI is 6.4 and PCE is 5.4.
And those are forward looking or backward looking?
Those are the change in 12. Those are, I guess it's backward looking, right?
Backward, yeah.
Rolling 1 year,
Yeah, it's just like the sunset.
just like the sunset.
And the next time the Fed calls a recession, is it going to, how outdated will that be?
That's going to be about 6 months behind.
3 to 6 months behind. Yeah. Last question for now, at least.
Okay.
When does the Fed change interest rates next?
It changes them next in March, I think 22nd.
And those are going to be backward looking too?
Well, I guess that'll be a moment in time, but yeah, it'll already be old news by the time they get to it.
Well, and it won't be retroactive.
No.
And that's the rub, is that the Fed is fixing past problems with future tools.
Right. Right. And then the big question is always, when does the buck stop?
Yeah. When does the buck stop? What do you mean by that?
Kind of like, I think the old saying is like, the buck stops here. Like, we're going to take responsibility for it. But if you're looking in the past, they've been taking responsibility for it, but they're not setting policy based on future predictions.
Well, they're not setting policy on future predictions. So I guess I had a couple other questions for you.
Sure. What's up?
Can the Fed make babies?
The Fed cannot make babies, actually.
No. Can the Fed change immigration policy?
No, they can't do that either.
No. So what they're doing is they're looking back at these problems of really high unemployment, high inflation rates, low unemployment and high inflation rates. And they're trying to fix it with a forward-looking tool. And really the problem is we just don't have enough workers.
Yeah.
They're not coming in the country and they're not being born. And if they were being born, it's still a really long-term fix. So everyone is convinced that we've done a lot of things like, there's going to be a recession, or that they've been saying that for 10 years.
Yeah, maybe 12 or 13.
And where you and I are at the camp right now is that maybe, but just as bad as we just may be doing some putting along for a while. We just may be moving sideways for a while, because it's hard to have growth when you don't have workers. And it's also hard to have a complete fallout from the system. Anything's possible when you have tons of workers.
Yep.
And so that's kind of the camp we're in right now. And if we believe that, then our portfolio needs to look a little bit different than if we thought everything was going to crash or if everything's going straight to the sky.
Mm-hmm. No, that makes sense. It's really interesting that you said about the babies. I went back and looked at some of the data before our call. And apparently in 1955, I believe that is, the births per woman was 3.5, right? And it's funny to think about that, because I'm one of two. Most of my friends are either only children or one of two, but my dad is one of six. My mom is one of four, right? Like,
yeah,
I'm yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So there's been a whole generational decline in how many kids are being had. And the result is we have older people who didn't have as many kids. And now, like you said, we need more people to do all those jobs.
Yeah. And I think what's really interesting too, which I wasn't planning on saying, but you brought up, is that our retirees are spending like they did, like unlike other generations.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, baby boomers have always spent. They got us the jet ski. They brought us, they invented the jet ski. We know they were going to continue to spend, and that's fine. But that's also driving. There's not some big fall off in spending.
Right. No, that's true. And when you think about the concentration of wealth, right? They've amassed most of the wealth in the United States economy is in Gen X, and especially the baby boomer generation. Well, now it's going to get spent, right? And if it doesn't get spent, it gets passed on the next generation. But one of the things that our clients, I've heard a few times saying, oh, well, I don't know anyone in my family that's lived that long, but you're in a new world, right? So in that same 1960, looking back, the average male lived to be 67 years old. That average male now is living to be 77, right? So we have healthier, richer, more sustainable living conditions for the average person. So we're going to see spending really come from that generation.
There's an article out there in the world that I read recently that the first person to live 150 years has already been born.
Yeah, that's wild.
That scares the bejeebies out of me.
Why? You don't want to be, are you going to be that person, Brandon?
No, I am not going to be that person. I assure you that. I assure you that. But that's a whole different article. That's a whole different topic. We won't even go down that rabbit hole right now. I guess what we're saying is that if we believe that to be true, then we need to adjust our portfolios. Riding things out or sitting on the sidelines doesn't necessarily work. We need to buy quality, which we're always committed to. Right. And I'll tell you what, bonds are kind of looking attractive right now.
Yeah, bonds are looking great. I mean, I think there's a really funny quote I heard on, I think it was CNBC or a podcast where they keep asking, is now the time to back up the truck?
Yeah.
Right. And so, maybe not, but yeah, it's finally a legitimate piece of your portfolio. You're not just
never the time to back up the truck. Yes.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're looking pretty attractive. And we've been talking a lot about this in our investment committee meeting. So more to come on that.
Absolutely. Well, are there any other fun stats you want me to rifle off? I collected a bunch of data. I knew you were going to come at me with something today.
You did your homework. I'm really impressed because no, I've got nothing else for you. Let's get back to work.
All right. Talk to you in a bit.
Later.